right? So in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die. In the sight of the unlearned, those who don't know the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, the destination of those who trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, it may seem like it's gonna be a failure. All right, but our mind ain't on what the world mind is on. All right, we desire a new heaven and a new earth. So however we are gonna obtain, all right, the mercy, salvation, all right, we willing to obtain it. All right, and their departure is taken for misery, right? And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace, right? The hell with this place. All right. Paul said it best. We die daily. All right. And being in this truth, that's what we do, going through the straits and the affliction, the persecution. All right. So it's a portion of us we're dead to the world already. Verse 4, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality, right? And that's what immortality is, man. The unwise, they'll read about it in the kingdom. One of the next scriptures I want to get is since we're in the apocrypha, the book of 2nd Ezra, as well as headed to first, chapter 16, and we'll just jump down to the verse. Was good chapters to read, verse 15 and 16, pertaining to Jacob's trouble, the insurrection among men. All right, the domestic terrorism that they're enticing ultimately is been called on by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, for this second Egypt, this modern day Egypt, to be wasted, man. All right. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and verse 71. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection of those that fear the Lord, right? Like the Essene. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, right? For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, right? We don't have our minds on the material things here, all right? We're not caring about burying the unalived and so on and so forth, man. When it's time to straightway, all right, follow Yahweh Shai, that's what we do, all right, as the Lord's sheep hear his voice, all right? And we measure that by measuring the times diligently, the prophecies, all right? Waiting on that mandate pertaining to Revelations chapter 13 and 15 on down, all right? The jump shot. So we not willing to partake into this bondage that Esau is trying to put the people in a second time, right? The spiritual bondage, the spiritual yoke. So this verse 75, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is your guide, man. That's our governor, that's our God. And the God of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves, man, right? So if the left hand offend thee, cut it off, so on and so forth, man. We know what it takes to, keep our hand on the plow, all right? And to put forth this work, all right, till the Lord finish his, all right, pertaining to his work, okay? It's back in Revelations chapter 14. And Yahweh Ratazah, this lesson was edifying. It's Revelation chapter 14 and verse, right? Because those who take the mark, they're going to be thrusted through when the lambs show up. It's verse 9 and 10. And I'll start in verse 14, the reapers, right? Because this is what it's coming down to pertaining to prophecy, all right? We're just waiting on that mandate, all right? You see us roll out with ice, all right, persecuting the people. And it's all him just practicing his wickedness, practicing coming after the true men of the Lord, because that's the end all be all right? That's the climax of it all. The conclusion of the whole matter when it comes to when the Lord go have to live up a standard against this devil. And divine intervention is going to have to partake and come into play. All right. So whether we be martyrs for the truth, or that standard is lifted and we gain a spiritual power to manipulate the elements and to protect and defend not only ourselves but the elect. You know, can't even say our people, but the elect. All right. Whatever your lot may be, you know, Lord willing was one or the other, man, for the Lord's sake. If you're listening and learning. This is Revelation chapter 14 and verse 14, the reapers. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, right? And upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, right? Yahushua, having on his head a golden crown, right? Because he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. All right, is written on his loins, right? And in his hand a sharp sickle, right? When you think of a sickle as an instrument, a harvesting instrument, right? Like corn is sifted in the sieve, to cut the husk of the corn, all right, that covers the corn, right, in the field, in the maize field, what they use to seed, the sieve, right, what the Grim Reaper has in his hand, the sieve, all right, it's like a hook on the end, on the top, all right, similar to a scaler. In the dental field, it's a scaler, you know, or a hook, you know. A sharp instrument in a hook-like form, roughly paraphrasing, all right? Cut, all right? And that's what the Lord come to do, to cut a man asunder, separate the spirit from the body of the unrighteous, all right? It's verse 15, and another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, right? Sat on Yahushua. Again, these angels dealing with the Lord last plagues, the Lord's wrath, right? So again, it's like it's a calling out first, all right, by way of the prophets giving out that warning, all right, and then it's a calling too, all right, to ultimately for him to reign, man, and subdue these kingdoms, all right. And another angel came out of the temple crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, right, for the time is come for thee to reap, right. For the harvest of the earth is ripe. And that's what the times we're coming into. The harvest of the earth is ripe, man, pertaining to its wickedness, pertaining to its judgments. All right. And the Lord is coming to reap. All right. And ultimately, what you put in is what you get out spiritually. All right. So you're going to reap what you sow, pertaining to your spiritual bank accounts, pertaining to your spiritual allegiance. All right. And whatever your spiritual allegiance is to. All right, that's why your eye has to be single to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, of those who are in this truth. All right, but 2/3 of our people eyes are not single to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Their allegiance is all over the place. All right, they go from every wind of doctrine. They have no allegiance at all. All right, to where their Lord is they're gonna be a part of that harvest. All right. Not the harvest and the gathering of the elect. All right. As far as protection and salvation, they're gonna be a part of the harvest of destruction. All right. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, and this is what's going on in the Shemayims on the spiritual level in the heavens in the fourth dimension, that ultimately is trickling down into what you're gonna come, foresee in these times that we're going into, pertaining to Jacob's trouble, the destruction and the downfall of Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, that great city. All right. When the angels speaking in the order in the heavens is being manifested, it's ultimately going to trickle down in this lesser, in this third dimension. All right. To where you're going to see utter chaos and destruction of this place. All right. And again, as it read, it says, and the earth was reaped, and another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Right, and we know according to scripture, those who listen and learning, that the Lord kept a cluster of grapes unto himself, pertaining to the elect. All right, 144,000 men, and a 1/3 men, women, and children that believe throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, of the Israelites. All right, that's going to be saved from the said perils of destruction. That's going to be having that mark of the Tawab, meaning the mark of exemption from judgment. All right, spoken of in Ezekiel 9:4. Okay, so you want to build a cluster of grapes that he kept unto himself, not the grapes that he's going to trodden down in the wine press. All right. Verse 19, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God, right, Yahweh. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, right? That's how much it's going to be slain, all right? By the space of 1,600 furlongs, all right? And again, it's like cubits is just a measurement. Like cubits is like a football field, roughly paraphrasing. In the ancient times, they measured it from the elbow to the wrist, roughly paraphrasing, something around that mark. And furlongs, I believe, is they compared it to a racetrack when you go into it. So just think of 1,600, all right, 1,600 racetracks, the long way stacked on top of each other vertically. All right, that's a lot of. All right, or to the horse's bridle. That's how much blood, yeah, you know. You know, it's down to drown the horse and how much go be slain. All right, from the Lord's judgments. This is what furlongs.
Strong's G 4712. Stadia.
A space of distance about 600 feet. A race course, space in which consists in running where held about 600 feet. Reached the goal first, receiving the prize. Courses of description were found in most of the larger Greek cities, and were like that at Olympia, right? Gymnasium and all that extra stuff. That's where it came from, Greek Rome. 600 Greek feet in length. So there you go. So again, the Lord gonna have to lift up a standard against this devil, pertaining to Isaiah 59:19. All right. But we know if we have to lay down our lives for this truth, then so be it. But